Hello, I'm Doug. Welcome to Camino 2020. Today I am going into full geek mode. If you're planning for your Camino, I'm sure that you have at least spent a little bit of time making some lists. Writing down the things that you think you want to bring, things that you might need to buy, things you need to carry those things in, and you have probably done some of that on a computer. I have discovered a couple of apps online that can help you do this and make the whole planning process a lot more fun, whether you enjoy it initially or not. One of them is called LighterPack, the other is called Geargrams. I have done separate tutorials in depth on both of these apps, but here I just want to show how I am using them to plan for my Camino. So let's get started. Alright, so let's say that you have decided that you really want to dial in your Camino packing, and you have discovered that there are apps online that help you do so. The two most popular are LighterPack and Geargrams. Geargrams is kind of your standard spreadsheet style app that allows you to list all of your equipment, categorize it, put in the weight, and you basically drag these into various lists to make your packing list, and then you can check it out and see how you're doing. So I can see that I have a total weight of 14 pounds and a pack weight of 9.5 pounds. And I can try it without going ultralight, where I'm carrying 14 pounds, etc. How do you do it with LighterPack? Well, the first thing you need to do, make sure that your master gear list, or whatever you call it, contains all of the gear that you might bring on Camino. Now, if you're brand new to this, the master gear list gets created by you adding a list, naming it. I name mine master gear list. So my master gear list is every single thing that I might ever bring on a camping trip, hiking trip, etc. And I know that I'm going to be pulling a lot of it into my Camino. Now, I have also listed things here that I would never bring on a backpacking or camping trip, such as my Camino book and my rock. But essentially, as long as everything that I even might bring with me on my Camino is in my master gear list, then I can start planning for my Camino. Let's just add a new list, and a list is just a list. Whatever you put in there into your new list is going to come from your master list, but it's basically a way of reorganizing it. So I'm going to call this Camino 2020. So this is my Camino 2020 plan. Right now I've got nothing. What I want to do now is start adding things in. Now, the way LighterPacks works is that everything you put in your master gear list, all this stuff that you bring in, either importing from other apps or typing in manually, ends up in this list over here. And it's from here that you generate new lists. So for Camino 2020, I can start grabbing stuff from here and dragging it over. Now, I recommend thinking through your categories, because this is how your reports are going to be laid out. They're first laid out by category, and then they're laid out by item. So you might want to think about the categories of things that you need on your Camino. So for example, you might say carry. I know I'm going to be carrying stuff. This is going to be my backpacks and things. So now what I can do is go over here and type in backpack, and if I have named and described my gear well, I should be able to pull up everything that is backpack related just by typing in backpack. So I look through here and I find that I am probably going to bring my Osprey XS38, so I'm going to just grab from this little divot into the carry category, and now I have a backpack. LighterPack automatically generates this report. I'm up to a base weight of 41 ounces. I think I'd actually like to have this reported in pounds. Alright, so I've got 2.5 pounds, and I haven't even put anything in it yet. I think I'm also going to want a waist pack, because this is what I'm going to be putting my passports and things like that. And you know what? I think I'm going to put my toiletries in here too, so I'm just going to bump this quantity up to 2. You notice now my base weight is now 3 pounds, and that's just to carry stuff. Okay, so what else am I going to do? Well, I know I'm going to want clothing. So here's my next category. What do I want from an item? Let's see. Well, let's start at the bottom. I'm going to want shoes. So everything with a shoe category or name or description pops up. Yeah, I think I'll be bringing my Lone Peaks, and I think I'm going to bring my Teva sandals. If you add a new item, brand new thing, this is going to get added as a new item to this list. So just real quick, let's just say I have this 10-ounce thing. I put it in there, it adds it in. Now, when I go back to my master gear list, under clothing, do you see new thing in there? No, you do not. So it's important to remember, if you're used to gear grams, your gear library is where you first put all of your stuff and then you drag it over into your lists. Anything you do to a list affects your gear library. It is not the case with LighterPack. These lists do not correspond to each other. So the fact that I put in this new thing doesn't mean that it automatically adds it to my master gear list. This is only a thing that exists in my Camino list. If I want this in my master gear list, then I have to go to master gear list, type in the description, and then drag it over. So let's go back here, let's delete this new thing. Keep in mind that anything that is an item, like these Tevas are an item in my master gear list, and they are also an item in my Camino 2020, but they are the same thing. So if I change this description to black, because I'm changing this actual item, it will update that item in any other list that it's in. Oh, and actually, as it turns out, these are not the sandals I was thinking of, so I'm going to delete these now. This does not remove the item from any other list. Even though it's got that scary red X, all I'm doing right now is removing the item from the list. It doesn't make it disappear from any other list, and that's why the master gear list is important. So what I really wanted, my hurricanes, there they are. That's what I really want. Okay, so there they are. So now I've got clothing. Now you'll notice that my report has updated. I've got two categories now, carry things and clothing things, and so I can see that my carry stuff is weighing 3 pounds, my clothing is weighing 2, and if I click that, it will break out that category into the two things I have. So I've got sandals and shoes. I can see that my base weight, my total carry weight, is now 5 pounds. And I can just keep on going. Are there other clothing? Well, yeah, I probably want some socks. Okay, I'm bringing my Darn Tough Vermonts. I'm definitely going to want 2 of those because they're going to get dirty. I definitely want liners. So I just keep adding. The more I add, the more this report tells me about what's happening to my total pack. And every time I add a category, I get another item here. And every time I add an item to a category, I get items broken out here. And so what this does is it allows me in real time to watch my base weight. Let's say that I don't want 5.4 pounds. I think, gosh, well, this is a lot to carry. What I can do is I can look and I can see, well, the most weight is coming from the carry category, but I want all of these things. I'm not giving up any of them. What about clothing? Okay, what's the biggest offender in clothing for weight? It is my sandals. Okay, well, you know what? My sandals maybe aren't that important to me. Maybe this is just around town or in the shower, so maybe I don't need these 20-ounce sandals. So what I can do is see about swapping it out, because I know I have other sandals. I have my water shoes. Well, they're even heavier. I have my Zero Shoes Z-Trails. They're only 11 ounces. So let's see what happens now. I'm going to put these in here. I'm going to take the Tevas out. And my base weight is under 5 pounds now, just by swapping out my sandals. Now, this is why correct weights are so important. Getting like a little kitchen scale for little things and a luggage scale for big things, or going to the website of the manufacturer and looking up the specs. You want really accurate weight ratings because every little bit changes. If you're going to bring 40 or 50 items with you on the Camino, 1 ounce here or there can make a big difference. You can see very quickly exactly what is happening to your total weight. Okay, so now I've got a little bit more of a robust report going. Now let's say I just can't seem to get this base weight below 6 pounds, and I'd really like to. You can generate a public link to your report that allows people to go in and do the same kinds of things you were doing and have a look at exactly what you're bringing. You can show people, this is my weight, these are my categories, this is how much I'm bringing. What do you think? How would you get rid of 0.26 pounds if this was your list? So that's a nice feature for sharing out your data. You can do it with Geargrams too, by the way, by just clicking this little button right down here. Same thing. You can get your URL, or if you do your own website, you can get the source code to dump into the HTML. So this is everything that I might want to bring without regard to weight. It weighs in at a base weight of almost 20 pounds. I'm not happy with that number. That's a little bit heavy. So maybe what I can do is start tweaking this. Now, I don't want to mess with this list necessarily because this is kind of my master Camino list. So I'm going to make a new one. So I'm going to go over here and click Add New List, just like I did before with Camino 2020. Now this time, instead of going over and adding a new list, calling it Camino 2020, and then adding each thing in manually like I've been doing, what I can do is I can start with my current list and copy it. So when I copy a list, it just makes me a copy of this list that I can then rename and start tweaking. So I called this one Camino Lightweight, and I started dumping gear that I didn't think I absolutely needed, swapping things out like I did with the footwear, and I eventually came to find that I could get it down to about 10.3 pounds. So the nice thing about this is that it just gives you a real-time report of how every decision you make affects your total base weight. And when you get down to things that are just, very precise, thirds of ounces, maybe a whole bunch of items that only weigh 1 point whatever ounces, it can be really difficult to just eyeball it. It's hard for me to tell what a small collection of 1 ounce items is really going to do to my overall weight. So it's really nice to have an objective report that I can generate and very quickly make good decisions on, and LighterPack is an excellent way to do that. I hope this has helped you out in your planning for your Camino. If it has, please give the video a like, hit that subscribe button, and if you click the bell notification, you will be alerted when new videos drop. I'm Doug, this is Camino 2020, Buen Camino.